So, Precious Venus, you have a ghost story, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but I want to hear yours first.
It's not that good. When
That's why you should lead, because
it's,
we'll build my better ghost story.
so I'm here with Snippins, Venus, or otherwise known as Precious Boo Boo, and
That's me.
today we're talking about ghost stories with friends who love to give each other the business. When I was a wee lad,
Uh,
and I'm not even sure if it's a ghost story. Like there were all these like rumors that kids were getting kidnapped or whatever, and I don't remember what relative's house we were at, and they had like a big foyer outside with one of those arches that led outside to the street. And then I looked at the archway and there was nothing there, and then I looked again and there was a guy standing like a shadowy figure in the archway, and he was like waving, beckoning me towards him.
hmm
And then I got kind of scared and I went back, like leaned back, and I looked away and I looked back and he was gone.
That's way better than my ghost story.
How is
I
that
didn't have
better?
a full body apparition.
That's a terrible ghost story. How is that a good one?
You saw a person.
Yeah, but I was also a kid. I ate a tremendous amount of food, I believe, that day too. It could have just been a
You had a
delusion.
food ghost baby.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it was a ghost. I mean, it could have been a guy trying to abduct me and just gave up because I wasn't moving. Maybe
The laziest
he's the
child abductor.
lazy child abductor guy. Yeah, who knows?
I feel like if you're in the business of abducting children, it's kind of a go-getter job. Like you have to be a self-starter.
As opposed to what? Like a mail order one?
You
What do
can't
you
be
mean?
lazy like that. Just beckon the kid, he doesn't show up, and you just give up.
Well,
Whether that was a spirit or like a child abductor, either way, they blew
I mean, it's an issue of volume. I mean, if you do that in every doorway,
it. Shotgun method.
yeah, maybe. I mean, you're gonna get your quota somehow. I don't even know what the
Yeah.
quota is for a spirit abducting of a child. I'm not even sure. Although we do have this other friend of ours who said her door kept opening, like her door would just open, and then she put a box in front of the door, and the door stopped opening. So if it
So
was, she kept saying it was a ghost doing it, but if
uh,
it's a ghost and that's all the ghost is apparently able to do is open the door, and then he's like, "Oh, there's a box." Like you can't move the box and then open the door. Like you can open a door, but then the box is how you're thwarted.
not the box.
And he's like, "Oh, the box," ooh," and then
I
just
kind of feel
doesn't.
bad for that ghost. That's like the only way he gets to interact with like the corporeal world, and then she just blocked that
Yeah,
completely with a
that's all.
cardboard
That's all he
box.
could do. Yeah, that's all he could do, and she was like, "Box."
It's like when you look forward to like a little lunch spot and then it randomly gets shut down, and you're like, I have nothing to look forward to
Oh,
anymore.
where am I gonna eat my lunch?
I
Ooh.
can't open the door anymore.
But then that's all
Um,
that's all he used his special powers for, was just opening a door. Like he didn't like push people down a flight of stairs to murder them, or like drown people or anything fun. He just
door.
door opening. That's it. That's all he can do. Snippins, you don't have any ghost stories at all, you're telling me? If you're I think, now don't take this the wrong way, but someone who's like you would think would have many ghost stories.
I have a ceiling fan and a light in my house that
Uh,
comes on by itself all the time.
right.
We have one of
And
those.
yeah, and like it'll also turn off on its own and you'll get up and turn it on and by the time you sit down, it'll come turn off again. But I've never once have been like, that's a ghost. I'm like, ooh, the wiring on that ceiling fan is
Yeah,
really bad.
I think Hampton Bay is just blowing it. Is what I think happened there.
I mean, I have a series of questions. One, have you ever been to a crystal store?
Yes.
Okay. You see what I'm saying? Crystal, right, Boo Boo? You see where I'm going with this?
I don't think that's very fair to Snippins.
Well, I don't even know what you mean.
I
I'm
don't
just
think you're being very generous.
I'm just saying, crystal store, you will eventually drive to spiritual spirit ghost. I'm saying it's not that hard.
This is a very uncharitable take.
Are you sure? I mean,
Yeah.
wouldn't you think? Do you know the different names for the different crystals?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, Boo Boo, how about now?
I'm just saying,
I'm not so sure.
leaping from you like to let the moon charge crystals to you believe in ghosts all the time, I just feel like is a leap.
In my defense, I
Go
was
on.
friends with a woman
Yes.
who sold crystals in a
Mm.
flea market and she
Mm.
wanted to sell them online and she didn't know how to do anything online. So I ran her crystal store for her online. So I kind of had to know stuff.
See?
Oh, you're saying I understand. So you're saying this was more of a
Circumstance.
sure. Like so you weren't
I,
like.
I think some rocks are pretty.
Do you know what tarot cards are?
Yes.
Okay, Boo Boo. How about now?
I know what tarot cards are. Can you use tarot cards? Can you read a fortune?
I mean, I'm not psychic, so I don't
Oh,
know.
well,
See?
But
Do you know what a Ouija board is, Snippins?
Yeah.
See, Ramon, she knows what a
no,
Ouija
I
board
didn't.
is.
That one was too obvious. Everyone's done that and
so
moved it
is
around.
tarot cards.
There's always one person that moves it where they want, and I'll just give you a hint. That person was me. If you ever played that with me, you got the answer that I wanted you to get. Let's just put it that way. Because everyone's fingers are so easy to move on that thing. I don't even know why. But the point is that
Because we're doing
I'm
the
not
bit.
just asking if you know what it is. Therefore, I'm not doing.
You asked her, "Do you know what tarot cards are?"
I was gonna do a follow-up question until you pounced. Now my
You
follow-up
pounced. She said, "Yes, I know what they are," and you said, "See." You got so excited.
leading to a conclusion. All right, let me do this next part. Do you own a deck of tarot cards yourself?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
How about now?
All right.
I mean, what do I gotta do over here? What do I gotta do over here, Boo Boo? I mean, what else do
She
you
owns
want?
the tarot deck. That's a little different.
I like the artwork. I think some decks are interesting because of the artwork.
I mean, that's kind of the reason why people get gift for having Playboys under their bed. That's not really.
They read it for the articles.
Mm, yeah, that's not. Really, that's not really. I mean, that's not. I mean, you can't equate. Anyways, so you have no ghost story snippets. You're not a ghost practitioner.
No, I've never met a ghost.
And Boo Boo, let's get on with the story that's supposed to knock us off our socks.
I never said it would knock. I just said it was going to be better than yours.
I'm not even wearing socks.
I just said knock us off our socks, which isn't even a real expression. And you were like, I don't think it's going to do that. Well, it couldn't because I made that expression up. All right, go ahead. So go ahead and give us
setting the scene, it's Rhode Island, probably late 80s, early 90s. And a young Boo Boo is attempting to sleep upstairs in the nighttime and failing. For whatever reason, I decided to go downstairs and watch TV in the living room, despite the fact that I had a TV in my bedroom at the time. So I'm sitting on the living room couch. We had a cat and a dog. They're both on the couch with me. We have the couch here. Behind me is the pass through to the kitchen, kind of like a little window with a counter. And then there's a pillar between that and the hallway. In front of me is the TV in the corner, and then to the right of the TV where I'm facing is a sliding glass door with the blinds closed, kind of the long slats closed. But behind our house is forest because it's Rhode Island. It's like the sticks. I'm sitting there and I realize that the dog and the cat are gone. And I'm like, huh, that's weird. I wonder where they both went. And then something catches my eye to the right, and I notice there's a light on the slats of the sliding glass door. But somehow I realize that's a reflection. And I turn and look, and on the pillar of the area between the hallway and that little kitchen pass-through counter is a ball of light on the wall that I would say is maybe plate size, like snack plate sized, not full plate. And it's kind of moving around the edges, watery looking. Think the water effects on the Abyss, that kind of wobbly water, but only on the edges of this light. And I remember getting up and staring at it, and I'm kind of frozen staring at this light thinking what is this? I'm running through my head. I'm like, well, this can't be something from outside because there's nothing but forest out there. And we're 2 stories off the ground where I'm sitting. So that doesn't make sense. Somebody would have had to climb a tree and be shining some weird light that they're moving around somehow through closed window slats. Now I don't remember what happens from there. The next thing I know is I'm in the kitchen and I'm extremely thirsty. I go into the fridge, and this is the early 90s, late 80s. So of course my mom was really into the trolls. You remember the little the trolls with the big tall hair? And we had 2 troll magnets that were on the fridge. And I remember staring at them and feeling they were looking. They weren't moving, but it was like their faces were less pleasant and more sinister. You know what I mean? More of like a sinister turned grin rather than their little like goofy smile that they had. So I remember just being so parched that I smacked them off the fridge so I can open the fridge. I smack them on the ground, I open the fridge, I take out the jug of water, I just like chug half the jug, and then I run upstairs and I fell asleep at the foot of my mom's bed. Next morning, my mom and my stepdad wake me up. What the hell happened? I tell them the story. They, of course, don't believe me because as an adult, all you do is not believe kids. And we go downstairs and I'm like, look, the TV's on. And they say, okay, well, you know, maybe you left the TV on. And I'm like, look, the fridge is open and the jug of water is on the counter. And they're like, okay, well, you know, maybe you got thirsty and just left it out. And I say, look, the little trolls are on the ground, because they are. And they still insist that the whole thing was a bad dream.
Were you high?
No, I was just a little kid. I was
Yeah,
like maybe like 7 or 8.
But were you still high?
No, I was tired. I just remember like sitting in front of the TV, just like kind of staring at it, like zoning out. I don't remember walking to the fridge. I'm looking at the light and then I'm in front of the fridge looking at the trolls. I don't know what happens between point A and point B. It's like, even at the time, it's not just like something I lost to the years. At the time, it was a blank spot.
So you have what's called missing time between.
Yes, and I don't know how much time it was either.
So this is what's happened. You see a light. You don't
Yes.
know where the light's coming from.
Yes, but it's not just a light. It's a moving light. Like, not moving like zipping around. It's just in place, but it's moving.
Shimmering
Yes.
on the edges.
But it was, yeah, shimmering on the edges. Perfect.
And then you experience missing time, and then you're in front of the fridge, and then you accost refrigerator magnets, and
Yes.
then you down half a chunk, and then you don't close the refrigerator door.
No.
Now that's what I would be more angry with you had I been the parent, because those eggs,
Yes.
you can't eat those eggs now.
Yeah, I think that's
You're
fair.
gonna get-
That would have been a fair thing to be yelled at about. But it was
Yeah.
in the moment, you know. I was a 7-year-old kid. Things were happening I couldn't rationalize,
Now,
and I panicked.
Now here's a question that I have. Have you ever had a night terror?
Not really, no. I occasionally get that thing where you're trying to fall asleep and then you hear a loud crash that wakes you up.
Mm.
I distinctly remember one in my teen years where I literally thought it sounded like somebody behind my head, which was the exterior wall of an upstairs apartment building, had done like a cymbal crash on a drum set. And I jumped up and I ran out to the living room. My mom and grandfather were sitting. And I was like, "Did you guys hear that? What the fuck was that?" And they were like, "What are you talking about?" It was the first time I ever remember experiencing that.
I have had when you wake up but you can't move at all, and then
Sleep
there's
paralysis.
yes, like, you ever seen that painting with like the demon on a lady's chest? Your diaphragm is paralyzed and you can't breathe. So you can't breathe, you can't move, and you are for some reason absolutely sure there's a person or an entity in the corner of the room staring at
It's like that movie, The Entity.
you. I remember that happened to me once, and I just started laughing because it was hilarious. And then I started laughing, and I could start breathing again. But I couldn't breathe at all, and it feels like something's pressing really hard down on your chest. You can become incredibly paranoid that there's some physical thing in the room with you. There's nothing there, but you absolutely think that there is. Like, you can feel it looking at you. You know, I can feel people looking at you. It's the same feeling. Like somebody, you can't tell when someone's looking at you.
No.
You don't feel that like burning sensation of attention?
No.
Stibbins,
What?
you can't tell when someone's looking at you?
If I look at them and see that they're looking at me, I can tell.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the sense that somebody's looking at you, somebody's watching me. You've never said that in your whole life? I feel like so the song "Somebody's Watching Me" to you is an alien song. It doesn't mean anything to you.
Well, people have watched me before, but I didn't feel it. I saw it.
So you don't know what the feeling of being watched is.
I have felt uncomfortable because someone was looking at me before.
But have you ever like looked around just with like feeling off and you realize somebody has been staring at you?
I don't think so.
Okay. That's more of the phenomena he's talking about. It's like this weird sensation or like sixth sense you get when somebody's looking at you across a room or something, and you're just like, it's like your ears tingling in a way, kind of, but
Yeah,
Kind of
I
not
feel
really
like
your
I
ears.
feel like a burning, like the Eye of Sauron. I feel like something is looking at
Yeah.
me, and then I look.
It's
like,
not like 100% of the time, but it certainly
no,
happened before where I'm
yeah,
just
it's
like,
not.
somebody's
It,
looking at me, and I glance over and catch it.
it's not foolproof. That it's not a spidey sense.
I believe it's a thing. I just don't know if I notice that people are staring. I don't feel like I don't know if I feel people staring at me.
When you
People
do
don't usually pay any attention to me, so I don't have to worry about it.
You should remove the boo and boo boo, because that wasn't a ghost story.
AI Lishy, where did he come from? That was scarier than your story, Boo Boo. So I have tallied our votes, and feel free to write in the comments section who you think is never right in this episode.
I was fighting for my life in that kitchen.
But were you? Because
Probably
I'm
not.
sure what are the threats.
You're never right. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you want more content from the Never Right podcast.